I'm Kelly Thompson, and you're listening to Board Now, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer podcast.
Welcome back to Board Now, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer podcast hosted by me, the final girl. And you guys, today is a very special episode. It is a bonus episode of Board Now to kick off season 2. That's right, we're coming back for season 2. And I got the chance to sit down and talk with Kelly Thompson, the author and comic book writer. We're talking all about Buffy and Angel, what it feels like stepping into the Buffyverse, writing characters with huge fan bases, and of course, some of your questions. And listen, for season 2, we are switching up the format. We're still going to be going episode by episode in order, but we're no longer going to be doing long form deep dives. We're going to make room for more conversation, more reactions, more Buffy roundtables, more guests joining me. It'll still be Bored Now. It'll still be fully Buffy, but just with a little bit more room to breathe and some more voices at the table. So, ladies and germs, my fellow Scoobies, let's kick off season 2, Bored Now with Kelly Thompson.
Thank you so much for coming on. I'm like really excited. When I was telling, we call each other the Scooby Squad in my content when we're doing stuff.
Appropriate. Yeah.
And when I was talking about you coming on, people were really excited. They were not just for the Buffy. There's other elements that you write that people were excited for. And so I have a few fan questions that I'm going to sprinkle in as
Okay.
we're talking.
I love it. And listen, I'm really glad people are excited that I've seen some positive, like in the announcements and stuff, like people saying things like, "Oh, I've really liked her work," and things like that. And it honestly was really awesome that I do work really hard. I think I try to learn and grow as a writer and be better and all of that stuff, but I always try hard. I don't really have a different setting, but it's nice when trying hard for a decade like pays off with your reputation, and then you can feel like for something you really love like Buffy, which for some people is a big ask. It's like, for the diehard fans, even those guys, like maybe they don't want to read a new comic in 2026 after 25 years later or whatever. So knowing that those people were like, "Oh, okay, Kelly Thompson, all right, I'll give it a look." Like honestly, it's really great. And I think it's wonderful for me personally because it feels good to have tried hard and have it pay off. But I'm really excited that it might benefit Buffy and have more people give it a chance because of that. Like, I know that sounds crazy on some level. Buffy is just some corporate IP that other people own, but I love it. I've loved it since I was, it's more than half my life. I feel like I've had it in my life and loved it. It's important to me. So
That's actually what I was going to ask you. I was going to say, like, what's your Buffy story? Like, what's your journey? Did you watch it in real time, or
I
did you?
I did not at the very beginning though. I'm not sure of years and where it was in like exactly when I came on board, but the first episode I saw was the finale of season 1. So Prophecy Girl.
What a
And I
what
was
a
like,
way to jump into the
I
series, though.
exactly. I was like, "What is this?" And then I set to work in, I mean, I'm incredibly dating myself, hopefully not for a lot of your fans, but it was not as easy to track down a show you wanted to see back in the olden time where we had a carts and wagons and things. So it was like me and a
VHS.
yeah, it was me and a VHS trying to track down all those episodes. And then after I don't know how long, I don't know how far advanced we are from that moment when I fell in love with that, but I did have basically like Buffy on VHS that at college I was loaning out to people for because there's no streaming,
Have you
kids.
heard
We
the good
didn't
Lord
we
of
didn't
Buffy the
know.
Vampire
Yeah,
Slayer?
exactly. I was the advocate. So
I
yeah,
love that.
yeah.
I love that so much. So like right away, you were just like enthralled with it when you
Uh,
first saw the Prophecy Girl. Is that like, is
yes.
that what hooked you?
It hooked me so hard, and it was specifically Buffy that hooked me. I mean, I was interested in the vampire thing, I was interested in horror in high school, I was interested in her supporting cast, but more than maybe any other thing, it was Buffy specifically that I really loved. I think that the way Buffy is written and performed is like a very delicate, beautiful alchemy that's part writing, part performance. I think one of the best heroines of all time. For me personally, she's probably in my top 3, and I don't say that lightly. I am a geek. I write comic books for a living. I'm as deeply steeped in this shit as you can be. But she just I don't I think she's a really shining example of what it can all be. I think it's also fair to acknowledge, and I don't know the ages of the people who are engaging with you, if they're all original fans or if it's a mix or whatever.
You
But
know what
you
I've
know,
found? It's so wild. Like it is a healthy mix. We've got a
yeah,
ton of new fans that are just
yeah.
discovering it, and then there's a lot of there's people who are like us who have watched it for,
So
almost 30 years.
I think for the new fans, it's important to remember that 25 years ago, it wasn't like you could throw a rock and hit a cool superheroine that was leading a show. And let's also be honest, even though Giles and Angel are such big presences throughout, and especially in those first few seasons, it's a heavily female show too.
Yes.
You, especially toward the end, you're mostly women and a few guys, which is sort of the inverse of what you get in comics, where an Avengers team is like a bunch of dudes and Black Widow, or
Yeah.
whatever. So you were sort of, it was it felt different than a lot of what we were seeing. I don't think that's as true today, which is great because it helped expand the form, and it got us a lot more female heroes. It got us a lot more leading ladies. It's more common today, but it was a bit of an outlier back then, not just in what it was, but in how well it was done. And in the sort of cult meta aspect, it was doing that in a way too, where it was, I mean, listen, it's called Buffy. It was camp from the beginning.
That's
And
what I was
like
just gonna say.
there
Like
were
it
people who didn't get it, but it was doing a lot of things on many
Yeah.
layers that just you couldn't just find that just anywhere.
No.
So and it's one of the reasons it's become, in my opinion, such a cult. Like the effects are hard to hold up over time. Some of the stuff is dated and doesn't still work, but most of it still works when you look at it.
Yeah.
And I think because most of that is because the characters are really incredible, and most of the stories like revolve around those characters and their emotions and their relationships.
What do you are you a rewatcher? Do you like rewatching the series often, or are you somebody who like maybe every couple of years I'll watch it? I just put on random episodes. What's your style for deep dive?
I do rewatch. My rewatch has been a little weird since I've been working on this because I
I noticed
did,
so.
yeah, I did start out with the idea that I'm just going to rewatch all of it.
Mhm.
And I do wish I sort of had time for that because I would have liked to have rewatched it. I think only one time have I rewatched it sort of from start to finish, where I integrated Angel into it, so that once we hit the point where Angel comes on, I started watching those and I would intercut them, like
Yeah.
really be serious about it. I think I've only done that one time.
It's
Um,
hard. I'm doing it right
it's a
now
lot.
for
It's
my
a
social
lot.
media. It's so hard because it doesn't line up, but then sometimes it does line up. And so
Yeah.
if you get far ahead, you're like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
hard.
But also Angel, and I don't want Angel super hardcore Angel fans to freak out that I don't like the series, or I don't, but some of those seasons are pretty rough for me. Like I, I especially in like 3 and 4, all the stuff with Cordelia is
Mm.
so rough to get through. And um yeah, it's like it's almost like a trauma watch.
Yeah.
Like that I guess all of Buffy is a bit of a trauma watch, but it feels like in Buffy proper, it feels a little bit more rewarding, I think.
Yeah. There's a
I
better
think
payoff at the end
yeah,
too.
well, I also think Angel was I'm speaking a little bit out of turn here, but
Oh,
in
I
my
love
in
this.
my
This is what we do here on the podcast.
in my opinion, when I watch it, it always wanted to be a little bit different show than it's sort
Mhm.
of being allowed to be. Like it wants to be more adult. It wants to talk about more dangerous issues. It wants to be a little bit different than Buffy. And I think until season 5, it's sort of held back from being that. And I think in season 5, when they knew it was over and they knew they didn't have more seasons, they just cut loose and really let it become what I feel the show was always supposed to be. And so for me, season 5 is really incredible and is my favorite, a big standout. Seasons 1 through 4 is a little bit more salt to taste. Like
Yeah.
to me, seasons 1 through 4 of Angel are sort of like season 4 of Buffy to me,
Mhm.
where it's very uneven.
Yes.
You've got some of your highest highs, Hush, Fear Itself, a brilliant Halloween episode that delves into all that. Like Fear Itself is got to be one of the best episodes of the show, in the sense
Yes.
of how they were trying to make the transition from horror in high school to transitioning into adulthood, and like how that's different but the same, and how that works with all the monsters. Like Fear itself is such a perfect encapsulation of that, all of them dealing individually with their own loneliness and change and everything, and putting that all in a Halloween horror venue. It's just it's honestly like a perfect episode.
I agree.
So you've got some incredible strengths in there, but like also some of my least favorite, least worthy episodes of Buffy of all time, and I'm including season 1 in that, where we have some spectacular misses.
Yeah.
So to me, Angel feels a lot like season 4 of Buffy. Most of Angel does. And then all of a sudden, Angel season 5, it's home runs like every episode. You want an episode with puppets? Done. You want an episode, and they'll just do anything. And I love it. I also think the Illyria stuff, as hard as it is to lose Fred, an incredible character, and as frustrating as it is, sort of like from a misogynistic lens, what, you had 2 female characters and you're getting rid of both of them.
Right.
Her performance as Illyria is stunning. Even though they were completely cramped on time with how they worked that Wesley Fred stuff, it is so emotionally wrecking,
Yeah.
all of it. And the performance is incredible. It's, I don't know how I don't know how she felt about it at the time it was happening, but talk about taking something that could have been lemons and turning them into lemonade. I think it's a beautiful turn for the character.
Yeah, I will never understand how nobody on either series was nominated for an Emmy in acting. I understand because it was genre TV
But
and all
yeah,
that
the
stuff,
awards
but
hate genre TV. I mean, and movies. I mean, God, we
yeah.
barely were able to get a Dune nomination. Like it's just tough.
It's when I wish they would recognize that. I wish they would recognize that, like, okay, maybe your peers in the industry or whatever didn't take it serious for so long, but they take it serious now, and
Yeah.
the audiences are taking it serious. And I just when I watch both series, I'm currently deep diving Angel. I've seen it all, but I haven't like watched it in years. So it's kind of like a refresh for me.
Hmm.
And just some of the acting in that series is just by Amy Acker, like it's
Yeah.
just it's mind blowing. I just watched the episode where her parents came back and
Yeah.
she's like, "You left me." And
Yeah.
I could not stop
Yeah.
crying. I can't wait to get to I'm at the end of season 3 right now. So I can't wait to get to the Yarla stuff and the everything with her and Wesley, because right now it's her
Yeah.
and Glenn and stuff like that. So I can't wait
Yeah.
to transform into that.
Yeah. The Amy Acker is, man, her Fred is so good. One of my favorite little bits that she does as Fred is in, I guess it's early season 3, when they've all come back from Pylea,
Yeah.
and she's, traumatized and in her room, and it's very weird. And like she plays it very weird, and I love it. It's so interesting and different. And it's almost like she was like, listen, I'm a beautiful young brunette actress, and there's another one of those already on this show, and I'm going to lean into something very different. Like, I think the writing also does that, but I think a lot of it is what she was bringing to it. Her like quirkiness, like there's one where she's like making a face and like little claws in one of the early episodes where she's like, it's one of the cutest fucking things I've ever seen. But just to circle back to the genre thing, it's just upsetting, but I had a real Andor barely getting nominated for anything. I don't know if you watch Andor, but that is
No, I don't.
genre. You should watch it.
I'm gonna make a note right now.
It's one of the best television shows of all time, in my opinion. It's sort of ruined any Star Wars universe stuff for me now, because it's so real. It's about revolution and real
Yeah.
people and fighting a fascist dictatorship taking over the universe. It's so powerful and so
Okay,
relevant,
why
and
have I not heard about this
it
until right now with
dude,
you?
Paige, watch it. You don't really need any other context. You just, hey, Star Wars is a world where stormtroopers and Darth Vader want to, control everybody. It's incredible. And it only got a couple nominations.
I think that sci-fi has been so underappreciated for so long, but it also has
Yes.
been so appreciated for so long.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
it's that duality of it. I wanted to ask you about this because I want to jump into the comic book too. I want to because all of this clearly, like, to me, I feel like all of this has influenced you in your writing. But obviously, growing up and loving Buffy so much, had that influenced your writing? Have you thought about these types of strong female characters when you're writing? For example, I have some questions. People are excited that you wrote for Wonder Woman, that you're writing Wonder Woman. So like, does Buffy get in? Is it when you're writing, are you inspired by that at all? Or has it been just everything has inspired you?
100%. I think it definitely relates to a lot of comic stuff, but the most Buffy has ever inspired me is I wrote a novel called Story Killer, which is the closest thing I've ever done to a Buffy thing. I'm sure some people would read it and be like, you know what? Too close. So, fair enough. But Story Killer is a world, a very Buffy type world where you've got teens and early 20s people trying to deal with weird supernatural threats in their town and all these sort of thematic things that come out of that. Unfortunately, there's only one book of Story Killer. I want to do a whole world. The good news for anyone out there, the two fans of Story Killer listening now, I am planning to do more with it. But yeah, I mean, I even put a dedication to Buffy in the beginning of that book. I think without Buffy, that the main character in Story Killer is called Tessa Battle, and without Buffy, I don't think there's a Tessa Battle ever. I don't even know if I'm a writer if I don't find Buffy at the right moment. I mean, I think the path to becoming a writer, there's a lot of weird off-roads and ramps where you maybe end up choosing something else or it's not going well, and so you pivot to something else. It's a very hard thing to crack through on. And without some like pivotal like structural things like Buffy propping that up and me going, I can do that and I want to do that. How can I do that? And what do I have to say about that? That's not the same thing everyone else has to say. It's pretty foundational.
That's what I was going to
Um,
ask you. So since you brought that up, what does it feel like to be Buffy Summers? Because you literally are writing Buffy. I don't want you to reveal too much about the comic, So before I ask specific questions about that, I want to know, like, you're literally Buffy. You just wrote her story, so you have to be in that headspace. Well, how does it feel to know that now you've been Buffy Summers?
I don't know. I think it's I honestly, I think I try not to think about it that much that way just because it's so intimidating, right? There's a little bit of these characters, you know what you're doing, just put your head down and do it. Try not to overthink it too much, which is
Yeah.
sort of impossible for me. But yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty easy to like get in your head about what's right or not, what's not right. I mean, Buffy has had a lot of creators' hands on her. So, how do you keep a sort of coherence of voice while updating it to 2026? Because you don't want reading it to feel like a jarring,
Right.
like, oh wait, that's a 2000 joke if I ever heard it. Like, so there's a fine balance on all of that. But to be honest, like while I have a lot of confidence in it because I'm such a deeply dyed in the wool fan, I don't think we'll know how successful I am until the people decide. I think people will let us know whether I nailed it or not. I hope I got it. I
I think
deeply
you
love
are.
these characters, so
I think you are. I think because you're a fan, you're talented, you have a lot of fans. I know that when I did a video announcing this and kind of announcing pre-orders for the comic book, the
Mhm.
comments in it, everybody was talking about, I already got my cover the other day. I picked out the foil cover, or I picked out this because I was like, I don't know which cover is my favorite, guys. And I was like having them like try to like decide which one to like help me with. Um, and so I think people in general, they're excited for this. And I think they're excited for another woman to take the helm of Buffy's story. I always say that like Marty Noxon and Jana Spenson, like they're so heavily with her voice, and there are
Yeah.
other women who have wrote stories. There are other women who have wrote books and,
Yeah.
who have
The
partaken in
comics. The
comics and
comics,
stuff like
though.
that. Yeah, it's
Women
like
have
they've
written a
done the
lot of the
comics. Like,
comics. Yeah.
so it's like it is heavy, but I think that it's the continuation of it. I think that
Yeah.
I always say that we took back Buffy, like we claimed the ownership of it, and so it's like hearing that torch.
Lovers of the Buffyverse, I think I think those are good people who know what's right. I think that's why they respond to it.
That actually kind of goes into one of the questions that somebody asked. Nessie asked, she goes, since you are writing both Wonder Woman and Buffy, would you ever consider a crossover of the characters? And if so, how do you think that Buffy and Diana would react to each other?
I mean, I think that would be very fun, like, to smash those characters together, particularly because my absolute Wonder Woman is a witch, so there's a ton of yeah. You should read this book, Paige. I
Ah,
think you'll like it.
yes. Okay.
I'll send you some or something.
Send me the
We'll
link.
talk
Send me the link.
afterwards.
Yes.
We'll talk afterwards. I'll send you some. I think you'll really like it. But so there would be a lot of fun crossover. I think that person who asked the question probably knows that is never going to happen.
Right.
That's an incredibly complicated, like, IP nightmare. Nobody's doing that.
Yeah,
But
no, it's
I do think they would have a lot in common, and they would get along, and they would kick a lot of evil ass together.
they want to know if this is going to be like a one-off, if the Buffy comic and the Angel comic are going to be a one-off thing, or if you guys are continuing the series.
So they're both ongoing series. I think ongoing is always a sort of question mark. It depends on if people are reading it. Like, I
Right.
think I've plotted out for 12 issues of both just to start us off. I am delighted to do more if we're popular and it's going well. So the first arc is so both books go for, are ongoing, but
Mhm.
they are, and I know this is like some people will be delighted by this and other people will be like, I only have so much money, and I get it. But they really Angel 1 and Buffy 1 both, if you're interested in what we're doing, they're
Mhm.
critical. They're like a
Mm.
two-part pilot is how I'm describing them.
Yes.
So Buffy 1 comes out July 22nd. And that has the sort of setup and the big reveals that we're all trying to hide as I cagily talk about all this stuff.
Yes.
And then Angel 1 is out August 19th. So, and that's like the emotional fallout and ramifications of that twist in Buffy #1. You need them to go together. If you just pick up Angel 1, you're gonna be like, "What the fuck is happening in this book?" And if you just pick up Buffy #1, you're not gonna get any of the emotional return, that's happening in the Angel book. And then for the rest of the 5 for the first 5 issues of each book, they're really tightly interwoven. It's not as tight as the first issues, but it's pretty tight. It's sort of like having a home and away team, and, like, so even when you're in the Angel book and you're with the quote unquote away team, you'll still get a cutback to what's happening with the quote unquote home team, kind of a thing. Do you know what I mean?
I'm
And
obsessed with
pa-
that.
and part of the reason I wanted to do it that way is because that's a thing you couldn't have on the show. It was
Right.
very hard to, production, schedule, cost, all of that stuff keeps those characters from being able to smash together. But, like, don't you want to see Angel and Willow spending more time together? Like, what does that look like? And so that was part of the reason. The other part of the reason is it's a massive cast.
Mhm.
And once you introduce that twist, there's a ripple effect for everyone in that universe. And we want to see all of that. So, in order to have the page time to really delve into that and to give everyone some panel time that felt earned and emotional, we needed the real estate, quite frankly.
You know what? I'm gonna make a prediction. You do not, please do not confirm, obviously. Um, but so this takes place after season 5, right? And it's the emotionality, all of that everyone else is dealing with. I'm gonna make a prediction just based on what you're saying. I have a feeling, are we gonna see I have a feeling we might see the day that Buffy and Angel meet. I have a
I'm
feeling.
not I'm not going to say anything, but I also think that I don't want to wave you completely off of
Right.
season 5. I think anyone looking at the sketches and stuff can see, like, oh, Dawn's there, so it
Right.
has to be at a certain point at least. But I nobody said that outright. That's not
Oh, okay.
I
That's
I
so
mean,
good to
listen,
know.
there's a lot of weird stuff floating around. I mean, I saw The Beat the other day, which I don't know if they're a big comic site.
Mhm.
They, like, posted about the Angel series, and they're like, a reboot fall, and I was like, well, that's not how I would describe it. So like there's a lot of like weird information
So
bouncing around.
what can you confirm then? What can you say, what you can't? Because the fans think that this takes place after season 5.
Listen, the fans are very smart. This is part of why I can't talk about it very much, because they know their shit. Like I've said somewhere else, I was like, I think people think I'm just trying to flatter them, but that's not it. I just know they're like me. They know their lore.
Right.
They are smart to go, well, what are the things you could do? And then they start thinking about them and they start talking about them on Reddit, and some of them get too close.
Listen. Okay. So here's the deal, guys. Clearly, Kelly's a fan. Clearly. Like, so I'm good with the surprise. Like I'm excited to just read. I'm excited to read the next. I love more stories in the Buffyverse.
I'm
You know?
trying not to pin it down because I do
Yeah.
think people could figure out what this is. And I think they'll be happier if they just read it and see on that last page of Buffy #1 what it is.
Right.
And by the way, people who don't watch the show, I hope our people who don't know the world, like we make a big effort in Buffy #1 to like bring them into the fold and bring them up to speed. I think you definitely get more bang for your buck, obviously, if you're a fan and
Right.
know these characters. But we work pretty hard. Every comic needs to be able to be someone's first, so we work pretty hard to make that happen. I do think that people who maybe like the first issue of Buffy but don't previously haven't engaged with the Buffyverse, the final reveal of that issue, they're going to be like, "Oh, okay." And then fans are going to be like, "Oh my god." So like there's a very different thing there, but I still hope that the twist, even for the non-fans, it's still interesting enough to like keep you wanting to know how it's going to work out. So I've tried very hard I've tried very hard not to pin it down in time, and instead I've been talking about vague things like, listen, try to think of it as a crossover event that's like bringing all the characters together for this big thing that happens, and then now we're exploring the ramifications of what all of that will mean in the Buffyverse.
I love that.
That's sort of the approach I'm taking.
The fans are really excited because it's like it almost like stopped, like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, we were gonna get these monster hideouts, which I think that we're still gonna get them potentially. But we were gonna get these monster hideouts. I'm producing a documentary. There was the sequel continuation series. It was like Buffy,
Yeah.
Buffy, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden that one exec,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's like the whole Buffy world kind of had to go for a
Yeah.
second. And
Yeah.
so this is like, it's fresh and everyone is like, yeah, like, okay, if we can't get the continuation series, like, let's get a story, let's get a comic.
Yeah.
Let's immerse ourselves back into that world. And they're excited that you're the one helming it.
I hope we can do that justice. I always feel like a new series that's sort of a continuation, it's always hard for me. I think no matter what, I struggle with that. I don't know if it's the fan in me or the creator in me.
Yeah.
Um, but you just I don't know, when you have to leave a character in a fictional world, I don't know. I guess my mind fills in what I think sort of happens to those characters later. And then so when someone picks up a continuing series, 20 years down the line, I think it's really hard to match up to what
Yeah.
people have been putting in their mind. And reality often has trouble holding a candle to fantasy. I think we all know.
Yeah.
One of the things I like about what we're doing is it is neither a reboot where we're rehashing the beginnings of things, nor is it a continuation where everyone is much older.
Right.
Like you're going to find and experience the characters at some point from where we are in the series, like, and things will be changing from there, kind of a thing. So I think to me, doing it this way is a way to sort of have our cake and eat it too, in the sense that the original series 1 through 7 and series 1 through 5 exist, and we all have that and we can have it. And then here's something that builds on that that's a little bit of a news story. I don't know. I hope people will be into it. I've certainly left my whole heart on the table on this one, so it'll be devastating if it doesn't work for people. But at the same time, like with something like the Buffyverse, it sort of belongs to all of us. I can only offer up my best take, and we'll see. We'll see how it resonates or not.
I think it's gonna resonate.
I
I
hope
think
you're right.
obviously there are subsects to all fandoms that are just bad people who completely miss the point of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. They're the Snyders of the world. But the majority of Buffy fans, I think, are excited. And I think when another fellow like Scooby makes it in a way, I don't know how else to put it that way, but like
Yeah.
when another fellow Scooby is like, I'm the creator, I'm the one I'm writing the comic,
Mhm.
I think for them, it's like, we made it, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, we did it. So it's like they just wanna support. So
Yeah.
so I know it's gonna be beautiful. I have a couple questions before we wrap up because I can't
Okay.
keep you long. Um, but I wanna know, a couple of things about some characters. Like, what Buffy character would you love to write more of? Like, who's would you like to really dive into that you maybe couldn't dive into or haven't dived into yet in the story? Like, who are you looking forward to really write for through this series?
Well, there's a little bit of a misnomer here because I'm not saying they're my favorite characters, but I really love Lorne and also
Mm,
Gunn. But both Lorne and Gunn are sort of on the cutting room floor for this first arc. Like, we show you where they are and like you'll see, but they're not really a part of the main story. And
right.
that sucks. It sucks on multiple levels. I like those characters. Also, the biggest problem with the Buffy cast I'm dealing with is it is remarkably not diverse, which is a bummer.
Mhm.
And so leaving off Lorne and Gunn, the most diverse characters looking or feeling or actually, not I'm not implying Lorne and Gunn have the same diversity, but you know what I mean. You
Right.
get
They're yeah.
something that's not a bunch of white girls, right?
Right.
And I've unfortunately had to leave them to the side, which is painful, but it's mostly just there is so much cast.
Mhm.
And for what's happening, it makes more sense for them to be sort of sitting to the sidelines for this
Right.
one. So in that respect, I'm excited to write more Lorne and Gunn because they've been sitting on the sidelines. But I think I mean I really like Willow, obviously. Um where we're writing her is a very particular moment in her development, and she's gonna go a very different way in some ways, which I hope will be good, um, and fun for the fans.
I'm
We'll
so
see we'll
excited.
see.
I wish you could say more. I wish I don't want you to get in trouble. I don't want you to actually reveal too much. But like I'm so excited for this. This has been so much fun. Thank you for coming on. Before we wrap up, plug yourself. Tell the Scoobies where you're at.
So I'm pretty much only on Blue Sky for social media these days, just under Kelly Thompson. You can find me there. I also have a Substack. It's free. It's just a newsletter to keep everyone in touch with what I'm doing. Buffy #1 is July 22nd. Angel #1 is August 19th.
Thank you so much for listening to this bonus episode of Board Now. Thank you so much for Kelly Thompson coming on. I had such a blast talking to her. What did you guys think? How much fun was this conversation? Season 2 of Board Now is coming later on this summer. I promise you guys. I can't wait for you to see what we have planned. I'll make sure to have everything for Kelly tagged in the comments. So make sure to follow her on her social medias, and I will see you guys in season 2.